We're very excited to have Michael Eric Dyson here today. He is, of course, a man of several hats: Georgetown University professor, ordained minister, media commentator, best-selling author, several hats, and many ideas. His books, speeches, and commentary, whether on social or intellectual issues or on the politics of the day, never fail to inspire and provoke. And his ability to weave in elements of religion, philosophy, gender studies, and cultural criticism reflect a diverse range of interests and knowledge. Today, the focus is on Barack Obama, who is the subject of Michael's new book, The Black Presidency. The tenure of America's first black president, of course, isn't over yet, but much of it is, and Michael provides an extensive assessment of how Obama has dealt with race and concerns of black Americans, how he's responded to race-related controversies, from the arrest of Henry Louis Gates Jr. and the death of Trevor Martin, to the riots in Ferguson and the church murders in Charleston, how Obama's handled relationships with older civil rights leaders, and how he's improved or not the lives especially of blacks in America. Needless to say, Michael has given lots of thought and had many discussions in recent years on the subject of Obama and race. He teaches a popular seminar on this topic at Georgetown University. In the book, he's pretty hard on Obama, conveying a sense of missed opportunities. But the critique also remains very mindful of the challenges facing a black man elected to govern a country like ours that is still far from post-racial. Whether one agrees with Michael or not, his book succeeds in establishing a standard for future assessments of Obama's historic presidency. Michael will be in conversation here today with James Peterson, the Director of Africana Studies and Associate Professor of English at Lehigh University. James, like Michael, is adept at talking about race and politics and is particularly attuned to cultural trends. He's the founder of Hip Hop Scholars Incorporated, an association of hip-hop generational scholars dedicated to researching and developing the cultural and educational potential of hip-hop, urban, and youth cultures. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Michael Eric Dyson and James Peterson.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, this is a great turnout. Thank you all so much for coming out. Hopefully everybody already has their book, so you don't have to wait too long in line to get it signed. Doc, it's great to see you again. Sorry we're off to the late start. I had some car problems getting in here.
Mic check.
So just to get everyone up to speed, Dr. Dyson and I have been talking about his work in this book probably for the last 7 or 8 years or so. So forgive me if the conversation is a little bit informal or a little bit in media race, right in the middle of things. But Doc, I want to start by asking you to reflect a little bit on the reviews, and here's why. Because I've read all the reviews, and folks, it's been reviewed very well. But I'm not sure people understand the significance of the text from my perspective, right? Which is, many of you know who've been following Dr. Dyson over the course of his career will know that he's a rhetorical master, right? So he's a very gifted preacher. He's an extraordinary teacher. He's an incredible commentator on television. He's an incredible public speaker. He has great gifts for the rhetorical space, but also he's trained and perfected that craft. The book is really, for me, about a deep critical engagement with the most prominent rhetorical moments of the first black presidency. And so you have a rhetorical master thinking about the first black presidency in a certain kind of rhetorical context. I don't know if that's captured in the review, so I wonder if you could respond a little bit to how the book has been received up to this point.
Well, I want to thank Professor Peterson, first of all. Give him some love for coming all the way from Philly. So I'm honored to be here with him. Yeah, look, there's a lot in that book that where I try to talk about Barack Obama as the president of the United States of America, but the first rhetorician, so to speak, a man who was engaged in profoundly moving and ultimately, in many ways, effective forms of mass public communication, but also where there have been glitches and spaces and absences and lacunae, as we might say. So what I'm trying to do is to take measure of his presidency and then use him as a metaphor for engaging race in America, and then using him as a lens onto a broader landscape to talk about a whole range of problems and possibilities in regard to race. Race is a social fiction. I spent a great deal of time talking about that. The biracial character of the Obama identity and presidency, looking at his racial procrastination and reticence, looking at his strategic inadvertence when it comes to speaking about race, and the ways in which he has hyper-visibilized certain elements of what he perceives as black pathology, and on the other hand, underplayed, allowing us to undersee moments of fracture along the racial trajectory that have emanated from the dominant white culture. So in this sense, I'm trying to look at multiple forces of rhetoric, multiple forces of language, the way sentences are marshaled, but also the way political sensibilities are talked about and engaged there as well. So that's floating beneath the surface of what people might do, in a 1,000-word review where they don't really get a chance to dig into some of that depth.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not sure people understand the rationale behind you engaging the president in this way, and I think sometimes the rhetorical piece is left out of that. I'm going to try not to spoil the book at all because there's a lot of sort of beautiful.
Don't tell how it ends. Don't tell how it ends.
And a lot of powerful stuff. But one of the concepts that's operating in the book is this notion of principled critique. And with all the sort of vitriol that we see in the current sort of political process, we just had this crazy dust up this week with Killer Mike and the uterus comment. Yeah. I just wonder if you could just, because again, I don't know if in the book you actually say here's what principled critique is. Yeah. So let's not go on assumptions. Tell us what is, when you're critiquing someone, especially a public figure, what do you mean when you say principled critique?
Yeah, that's a great point. We're not talking about getting up in the morning and drinking hateration, right? Now, a certain generation thinks of critique as hateration. Let's just be honest about that. Why are you hating on me? I don't hate you. I just don't like what you're doing, right? I just don't like your album, Kanye. It's great. I mean, no. I love Kanye's album. I do. 53 million, that might be a little bit much, right? But if y'all got 53 million to help me out, I got books I need to write, and I got stuff I can buy furs already. But I'm saying I need, okay. So, dissing somebody on a nasty, as you use that beautiful word, vitriol, the ad hominem or ad feminem attack, don't get personal, don't get mad at the person. Principal critique for me is understanding the context within which, for me, if I apply it to this book and this figure, understanding the context within which a figure emerges. What are the obstructions? What are the contexts? What is the lived experience of Barack Obama, such as he faces daily when he goes to do his task, so that when we ask, has he been effective, we've got to look at how his hands have been either handcuffed, tied behind his back, people stopping him in the way, refusing to work with him, this could never happen in America, but maybe the opposing party has committed itself to making sure he's a one-term president and then therefore not governing, but making sure that he is unsuccessful so that they undercut a sense of fealty, and loyalty to the nation by charging he has no fealty or loyalty to the nation while you undercutting the dude, right? So for me, principled critique is understanding in this case just how much every day this man got up and folk was trying to kill him. Right, trying to stop him, both literally kill him, right? The most threatened president in the history. That makes him even cooler when you see him. Like you know what? Because look, I don't know if y'all ever had any death threats. I know you have. I know I have. You be shook. Be like, I was gonna lecture today, but hell, let's just skip class. It look good outside. I ain't scared, but I ain't stupid. So if you had real death threats, I've had them. People say, I've had to have bodyguards, people just for, writing a book on Cosby, Negroes mad at me 10 years ago, and how you like me now. So, So the thing is, I've had it, and so for this man, now he has bodyguards. There ain't no bodyguards like him. He does have Secret Service, but still, they be coming over his lawn. He the only president. Are y'all on the job? Dude got in his front room watching TV. Hey man, can you pass me the popcorn? Like, how does that happen, right? So black people already have a collective sense of fear about Obama. Right? That's why we weren't going to vote for him first, Doc. We were like, I ain't vote for him because they might shoot him, right? Black people were like that. Now, we forget that, right? So when you look at the context, obstructionism on the right wing, Mitch McConnell, then Eric Cantor, then John Boehner, committed to undermining, subverting, and destroying the process of politics, which is a negotiation in good faith of differing viewpoints and ideologies for the purposes of addressing vulnerable populations in times of crisis, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing. What we end up doing, what had happened is that they trying to block this man every way. So when you look at it that way, what he's done is pretty amazing in terms of the first 2 years, right? The fact that he bailed out the banks. Because if a black man goes into the presidency and the first thing he do is let the banks fail, bro, ain't no brother going in for another 2,000 years. Hey, we got this Negro, and the first thing he did was allow the cash and the capital and the monetary system to be undermined. You ain't, forget getting reelected, you won't make it that week. They coming for you at the White House right there. So he bails out the banks, which has profound consequences for the broader economy as well. Then he gave the TARP money. Then he redistributed the mechanism of redistribution. Even though it didn't benefit those more diverse states, the fact is it did help in a significant way. Then he bailed out the automobile industry. Then he gave us health care. That's the first 2 years with folk, ostensibly on his side helping him, but we know blue dog Democrats work. So here's my point. When you look at what Obama did and did not do, you got to take that into account. But here's the principal part of the critique. But still, even as they're crapping on him, he was crapping on black people too. That's hard for black people to admit in public because we love him. Why? Because he's the first black president. White people are bored with presidents. We got 43 of them. What? Who cares? Are they any different? Andrew Jackson, George Bush, what the hell? Oy vey, we got it, yeah. So, but we got, one, although white brothers and sisters tell me he's half us, So we got half a brother in the White House. So we are very protective of that half a brother. Don't be saying nothing about Bay. Don't say nothing about Boo, right? That's Obama, because we project under his body a tabula rasa, a clean slate of the aspirations, the hopes, the desires of not only black people, but people of color, Latinas, Latinos, Asian folk, Muslim brothers and sisters, and the like. A lot of people projecting onto that body the hopes and aspirations and desires, even as he's deporting more Latino people than anybody in the history of this country. Even as with African American people who love and desire for him to represent us, he begins to engage in, I think, nefarious forms of public critique that are off mark and do not display his tremendous critical sensibility. So public and principled criticism for me is taking him at his word, acknowledging what he's up against, talking about what he didn't do and what he did do based upon what was available to him. That's why I say in my essay on Hillary Clinton that she could do more for black people because she's not being haunted like he is, right? Oh, you're trying to hook black people up, right? She can't be said to do that. She doesn't look black at all, right? Nobody mistakes her. She could be undercover sister. I don't know, but I don't think so. So nobody's going to say, you're hooking up black people. If Obama tried to help us with a parking ticket, oh my God, you're doing something that is just horrible, right? But on the other hand, Obama went out of his way to prove that he would not necessarily be conscious of an affiliation based upon either tribe or race, and that was problematic too because we're still American citizens. No matter the fact that we're black like you're black and you don't want the masses of white folk who don't care, right? Don't spend so much time on the people who don't care. We know the white brothers and sisters who are in the battle with us to try to do the right thing. There are millions of them. But the people that you will never get, the right wing, they hate you now, they hated you then. Obama, I think, spent too much time trying to convince Republicans when they were going to never love you. They don't even think you are a citizen, much less a president. So stop dealing with these people. Donald Trump the game over there. So now I think, to end the point, For me, principal critique, though, is to say he's still in the midst of being unfairly and viciously assaulted himself, engaged in some similar behavior when it came to African American interests and peoples and perspectives and morality. And that's not hate. That is an acknowledgement of the way in which he was circumscribed on the one hand and the choices he made within that agency. Because Obama ain't gave up on asking black people to be responsible for our behavior. So we say the same to you. If you want us to be responsible, you be responsible too. So that's what I mean by principal critique. We turn the microphones up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Turn the mic up. I'm hollering. You know what I'm saying? I got to spit some knives
Come
later.
on, we're going to run out of time before we have to open this up. The specter of Dr. Martin Luther King haunts the text.
Yeah.
In a couple of ways. One, in the sense that I think he's the model over and against which you're making some of these comparisons in terms of these big rhetorical moments of Obama's presidency. But there's also deep in your writing a sense of loss, or maybe a sense of anxiety, anger, or frustration that Obama might displace MLK as one of the great black Americans of our time or any time. Can you talk a little bit about how King haunts the text?
Wow, that's a very, very insightful. You know, I didn't know that anxiety until you named it for me. You know what I'm saying? Damn.
You've written 2 books on King.
Yeah, that's true.
You've been a student of Dr. King for a long time, supporter of all of his work and his activism, and so. But it seems like you're begrudgingly.
See, that's principal critique. That's principal critique. That's principal. You're right. I am. Okay, I'm gonna get it off my chest. Yes, I am.
You're begrudgingly acknowledging that Obama has sort of transcended King in some way.
Well, that's a great point. What I'm worried about, I guess, now that I didn't know, but now that I know, I feel like Woody Allen. I feel like Woody at the better moments. In the films only, nothing else. But I think it's not my anxiety alone. It's the way in which the nation is in a rush to embrace a figure who deservedly must be celebrated as one of the greatest figures ever because he became president. That achievement alone, right, gets you in my book number 2. Right, number two. You ain't king in the sense that the blood, you see, Albert Camus said, if you're gonna be that great, die and then raise up on the 3rd day. That's some extraordinary thing right there. That's a couple cats we know from around the way. Right, so for me, it is unfair, first of all, and I make this explicit in my book. Martin Luther King Jr. is Moses. Right. Barack Obama is Pharaoh. That's not a judgment, that's a job description. One of them is meant to govern society and engage in principles and practices that allow him to make discretionary judgments over the conduct of business in the nation. Another one is meant to criticize that process and to hold a mirror of accountability up to it. That's not Obama's job. So in that sense, I don't begrudge him at all. A lot of people were saying, you ain't king. He ain't supposed to be king. That's not what he's meant to do. So I don't judge him in that sense. My point is, though, to say first of all, Barack Obama has not pitched himself as a black leader. Right? King was a leader of America, but also a black leader specifically, right? Obama has pitched himself as a more transcendent, universal leader, because he's the president of the United States of America. And as he constantly reminds black people, I am not a black leader. He says, I am not the president of black America. Now, that's where I would, in terms of principal critique, go like, no shit, Sherlock. We thought you were the head of the NAACP. We did not know, right? Don't insult me with that. You didn't tell gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual people you're not the president of the gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual people when you turned the White House rainbow colors. And I was down with it. I was arguing against some of my homophobic brothers and sisters in the church. I'm a Baptist preacher for 35 years. You know that goes over like a brick cloud where I am. So I'm up there doing work inside for you, and I'm down with the turning the White House, rainbow colors. Turn it formation. Turn it formation. Play that on the way out. Play Kendrick Lamar. Play Kendrick Lamar on the way out. All right, I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. Let me say this. So, thanks for calming me down, Doc. So, my point is that I don't expect Obama to be all that. But when you say you're not the president of Black America, you're insulting us. Because you aren't the president of environmentalists alone, but you do environmentally sensitive things, except you don't visit Flint when you're 60 miles away from it when you're in Detroit. Wow. So my point is this. I understand what he means when he says that, but it's an insult to us nonetheless. And what I'm asking Obama to do is to be conscious of his historic legacy as a president. Forget us as black folk and you as a black person. The historic legacy of the presidency has been to use that bully pulpit in deploying moral sensibilities to be amplified to defend the most vulnerable at its best. That's regardless, or as the brothers in the street would say, irregardless of color, right? Right? That's belt and suspenders. That's how we do it. We're not sure. So my point is that for me, there could never be as great an American as Martin Luther King Jr. because of the historic legacy of what he did. I think Abraham Lincoln was an amazing guy. I think Thomas Jefferson was pretty remarkable in some ways. LBJ, the greatest president for black people in the history of this nation. But Martin Luther King Jr. was a private citizen. He did this without bodyguards or protection, without the imprimatur of the state. He did it without official legitimacy. And in fact, the state used its forces against him to delegitimize him. And despite that, the man rose up with extraordinary power to challenge the hegemony of American racism and the inequalities that prevailed. So in that sense, I was disturbed by Obama letting King, you know, he used King to get to the dance, but when he got there, he didn't bring him in with the dress on. You know what I'm saying? In Tennessee, I used to live, they said, dance with the one that brung you. Right? So you used King on the way up. The fierce urgency of now. You know, using King's lyrics. But then when you got up there and made your speech, when you accepted the nomination, a young preacher from Georgia, slow down. I'm on to Beyonce, say my name. Say my name. What you with somebody else? Not say my name. You said it last night, say my name. Right? You said it on the way in. That's a Beyonce knows critique of Barack Obama, ironically enough. So for me, it was like we started seeing young preachers from Georgia. You didn't say a tall guy from Illinois with a stovepipe having a long beard. You said Lincoln, right? So name his name, because namelessness, as James Baldwin taught us, has been the particular and peculiar problem that black people have endured in a public space that erases their names. So that's the anxiety I have as well.
We have time for one more question. Okay. Oh my God. No, well, we got to open it up. We have to open it up.
Right. My people.
So,
what up?
So I want to stay in the kind of rhetorical public space for this question. Over the last 6 weeks, you've had Macklemore release White Privilege 2.
I'm gonna defend Macklemore.
Hold on.
I'm just,
I ride with him too.
I know you do. You know him. You know.
But you've had Beyonce release the video for Formation and then destroy the Super Bowl with Formation, and then you had you had Kendrick Lamar come out on the Grammy stage in full incarceration gear. So I'm curious as to whether or not you think, is this something that the era of Obama is a predicate to, or you know, because you talk a bit about like Black Lives Matter in the book. Again, no spoilers here, but thinking about like what's going on in the contemporary moment and how an Obama presidency has shaped a number of different discourses that we're engaging in the public. When you think back over the last 6 weeks, and you see Macklemore with White Privilege 2, huge, whether you agree with him or not, a huge song, huge impact, huge conversation comes out of that around white privilege. You see Formation from Beyonce, huge discourse, huge conversation on both sides, right? Same with Kendrick Lamar. I mean, these are huge pop cultural moments in the Obama era. Is there a connection or something we should be thinking about the particular context that an Obama presidency provides for that kind of conversation?
That's why you're the best, man. I mean, that's it. Yeah. But let me say this, though. Your brilliant analysis helps us understand something that you've argued in other places, but those cultural moments help make Obama possible. He's just paying back a debt that he's incurred when Jay said, the reason the president is black, when he hit me on the jack, I said I had his back. When he called me on my cell phone. Hit me on the jack, you know what I'm saying? You used to call me on my cell phone. Come on, y'all. I'm performing for you. Help me out up here. Come on, damn it. So the thing is, Obama is a product of a constant erosion of fear of blackness that has been articulated and facilitated through hip-hop culture. right? You teach classes, I teach classes. Young white kids who were made to feel comfortable with black leadership, black authority, with the leadership of Latinos and Latinas, of people of color. That was brokered through the common culture experience on the dance floor, at concert halls, and the like. I'm not trying to make it a nirvana, a kind of kumbaya moment, but I am saying there was a lot of cultural and political, a lot of political work being done in the cultural sphere of taking down some of those barriers. Before his tremendous fall, Bill Cosby, in terms of what he did in '84 for the next 8 years, helped pave a way for Obama. My man on 24, the two black presidents, fictional presidents. As funny as that sounds, they helped prepare a way for this. Jay-Z being Nas, being Young Jeezy, Lauryn Hill. I mean, all the songs, the music, the culture, where they're making sharp critique of white supremacy and social injustice. They created the possibility of an Obama presidency, and now he's recycling that. And by the way, I'm glad you threw my man Macklemore in there. Because, black people, we hard, man, on social media, like, damn, white privilege. I'm like, it's white privilege to talk about white privilege. I get that. But if you ask white people to speak up, if they see something, say something. When they see something, say something. Don't dog. I mean, don't assault them. I mean, you can engage them. I'm not saying you can't be critical of that, but I'm saying the mere fact that this dude took on white privilege as a consecrated artist within hip-hop who acknowledges that he wouldn't get some of the benefits he gets without the fact of his white skin.
We talk about white privilege all day, every day. No one's covering that. But Macklemore puts out a song, and it's a big national
It
concept.
is. And that's using his white privilege to undermine white privilege. I mean, I'm saying let that dude talk. Let a lot more people talk about damn white privilege. Let George Bush get up and talk about it. I was mad at Kanye, not anymore. Not gonna do it. But in terms of both Kendrick, I mean, now here's an interesting thing. Let me tell you why, to me, Beyonce was braver. And I love Kendrick. I'm doing 3 lectures on Kendrick at Harvard in November. Come check me out. Promise that you will sing about me. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna kill that. So Kendrick Lamar is a genius, right? A remarkable, coming out in those chains, but we've come to expect, as some people said, hip-hop to do that. We ain't expecting the genre you are so in love with called R&B. Yeah, he can't stand that. We didn't expect Beyonce. We don't expect Beyonce to roll up in there with the Black Panther 50th anniversary and hot sauce in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? Huh? Mama from Alabama, daddy from Louisiana. What? I like my baby hair because I like my baby's hair? Look, both of them are doing work against not only white supremacy and institutional inequity, they're doing work against black complicity and self-hatred. Because Kendrick Lamar said, I'm the biggest hypocrite of 2015. That's the blacker to bury. He's asking neighbor-to-neighbor violence. I don't buy that black-on-black crime because people kill where they live. If you want people to kill in integrated communities, have integrated communities. Yeah. It's one of the great advantages of integration, that we can kill each other together, right? So to stop that, because 84% of white people who are killed by white people. 93% of black people who are killed by black people. It's all you kill where you don't take buses and metros. I'm gonna shoot your ass right here. That's who I see. Now please don't do any of that, because it's hurtful and it's hateful. So my point is that I don't buy that, but I do buy neighbor-on-neighbor violence. And he's been arguing against that. He's been terrorized first, before he saw white supremacy, by the Crips and the Bloods. And we got to find a way to say that without buying into Rudy Giuliani's contemptuous dismissal of people of color. So he's critical of that. Folk didn't even hear that in the midst of that. They didn't hear Beyonce saying, I like my baby's hair. Now, I feel like I'm in church. Turn to your white neighbor and say, what is baby hair? White folk, baby hair? I don't get, what the hell is that? I don't even understand that. I don't even have enough time to break down baby hair. Well, I got this little fine hair left when I was a kid to show I got some white blood or some Indian blood in me. Right? Negroes always do it. That's my baby hair. I'm slicking it down. But also it's a critique of the fact what she said, black people have been harsh on social media on her baby's hair. Because it's what the anthropologists would call contour duplicated. Negroes call it kinky. Right? Natural. So black people, just like when Gabrielle Douglas had won the friggin' Olympics, Negroes are talking about her hair. Stop that shit. Right? Stop it. So Beyonce was doing that. So I think, to end the point, you're absolutely right. I think what she did is amazing. I know a lot of people are critical. Talking about she's appropriating. She ain't appropriating. She is the Creole and from New Orleans, all that shit. She ain't appropriating that. She's appropriating the experience. Because everybody who's claiming a Beyonce is appropriating, somebody's out there to say you appropriating appropriation. Right? When you start down there, keep it real, you ain't real enough for somebody. Everybody ain't real enough for somebody else. Oh yeah, you only killed 15 people. I killed 30. In the hood. It was poorer than you. Stop it. I mean, that kind of politics of authenticity is self-destructive. So I think, but there's a way to have a shoehorn in on it by talking about the kind of contradictions, and I think that's available. But what they did, Kendrick Lamar, Beyonce, and your man Macklemore, I think is pretty extraordinary. And yes, Obama has made that possible by paying the debt back, because Black Lives Matter is saying stuff he can't say. Saying stuff he refuses to say, say stuff he won't say, and challenge him. Notice Obama ain't done them lectures in the last couple of years now.
Right.
Because after black people get killed in the street, see, he was a symbol of black progress. Black people became proxies for him. So they can't kill him, they kill us in the street. The murder, the hurt, the pain, the agony. That's in the book too. That's kind of stuff they really don't see that, because there's a lot of stuff up in there. So my argument is, yeah, we are tied together. As Du Bois was saying, an inescapable bond of mutuality, as Dr. King said in Howard Thurman before him. We are tied together, one dogged body alone, whose dogged strength alone keeps it from being torn asunder. That's what we're dealing with, and I think Obama is both the product of that and now the perpetuator of that, and he has been challenged by that in a very fundamental way.
Yeah, this will be my last question.
Yes, sir.
And it's kind of, before we open up for the audience, it's a political question. We have recently seen some conversation around reparations. You know, our good friend Ta-Nehisi Coates critiqued Senator Sanders for not having reparations as a feature of his so-called progressive agenda. And the critique is an interesting one, but it raises a certain irony for me about the Obama presidency, which is he gets a lot of critique from the left.
Right.
This president, I mean, you could argue that he gets as much critique from the left as he does from the right.
Oh, sure. Buyer's Remorse, a book that's out now.
Right,
you know?
right. Literally, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, it's the name of the book, Bill Press.
Yeah.
I'm giving him love at my book signing.
But I'm confused a little bit by this, okay? I'm confused a little bit by it because, and the reparations issue made me think about this, because there are a lot of folks on the left who believe that we need to dispense with racial rhetoric. And I don't mean any offense to Cornel West or Killer Mike or the people supporting Sanders, but where Sanders was initially talking about economic inequality and not talking about race is where a lot of politicals on the far left are. Some black and white feel that racial discourse, Adolph Reed is one of them, racial discourse in some ways either contaminates the possibility for progress or limits the folks in power capacity to understand that progress needs to be made. Right? And so in that context, it makes the critique from the left of Obama to me somewhat strange, because it's Obama who's saying a rising tide lifts all boats. It's true. Obama who's saying if we get free community college, it helps everybody. It's Obama who's saying if we get health care, it helps everyone. That is actually much further left than it may seem on the surface, but he still gets the critique from the left. Even some of those same folks who believe you need to dispense with racial rhetoric, because your critique is he doesn't talk about race enough, right? And so he dispenses with the racial critique. He does some things that are about inequality, and he still gets the critique from the left.
And the very people who mad at him for not doing it, not riding with my man. No, that's a brilliant. You need to write that. If not, I'm gonna just try to borrow that. You know,
how do we get out of that conundrum?
Yeah, that's a hell of a conundrum too, bruh. You know what? That's a brilliant analysis, because, you know, Coates, who is now, he said he's voting for. Killer Mike called him up. It's hard when you say holla, bruh. I mean, I think Coates made a brilliant analysis there. And look, here's the problem. I think the historic legacy of a certain kind of progressive thought, one that was explicitly communist at certain points in the 30s and 40s, and then a kind of socialist argument within progressive circles thereafter, down from, you know, Trotsky and, you know, there on the one side, and then down to what happened here in America with Michael Harrington and the like. So when you think about that, one of the criticisms of that argument has been it wants to subsume race under class. That once we destroy the class inequality, all the racial problems will be solved. But I say often, Derek Bell, the late great Derek Bell, right? And if you all haven't read his book, please go read his books, Faces at the Bottom of the Well and We Are Not Saved. I mean, great books. Law professor who on principle, refused to keep his tenured professorship at Harvard Law School because they hadn't hired a black woman. You know, if the president follows through on the Supreme Court, that would be interesting. Just want to get that in there. I'm just a little extra. No charge for that goodie right there. Derek Bell, I was on a panel with him at the Socialist Scholars Conference, by the way.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, me. So we're there at the conference, and Derek Bell tells the story of a communist had gone to Harlem to try to recruit people. Hey, we're the ones. We're going to revolutionize society. Forget all these Democrats and all these Republicans. We're going to do it. And he said, the black man asked the communist, he said, well, let me ask you a question, though. So after the revolution comes, you still going to be white? Because if you still going to be white, that's some problems. That ain't whether you Democrat or Republican, that's whether you white or not, right? Because there's some universal characteristics of whiteness, and we know the most progressive whites are the ones who challenge most steadily the vicious scourge of white supremacy in this nation. We know that. But there are all kinds of temptations and seductions all along, and there are certain kind of privileges that all whites experience, like Bernie Sanders, who didn't even want to damn talk about it. I'm fine. I've marched with King. If you don't want to do that, fine. You Negroes don't recognize that I marched with King. And your boy John Lewis said, I ain't seen you. I ain't seen you. I don't know where you were. Maybe you was in the back. Maybe you were in the back of the line. John Lewis said, I did not see him when I was getting my ass beat at Selma. I did not see him. That's my man. That's my man. I love you, Congressman. I'm just trying to say. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is that Bernie Sanders was written. Now he's a 74-year-old white man. Come on, we got to cut him some slack. Like, you know, hey, what? Yeah, I'm black lives, white lives, dogs' lives, all lives matter, right? And the problem, of course, is that Bernie Sanders was an exemplification of this very point of the left's almost religious fervor in terms of its investment in a class analysis that obscures the specificity of race and gender and, by the way, sexuality, right? I mean, a lot of that could be taken. Feminist critiques of Marxism, even from within a historically progressive legacy, have to be paid attention to. So I think you're absolutely right in this sense. The irony is Obama's getting beat up by the same left people who say he ain't talking enough about race, but here now you got a leftist perspective that doesn't want to deal with the specificity, and having some of our friends say things that are curiously antithetical to what they said before and contradictory to what they were saying before. I'm like, dude, I'm confused. I don't get it. I don't understand what you're doing. So now Obama is being assaulted because he held up the universal principle of rising tide lifts all boats. I believe in the universal claims of justice that I'll make health care available for everybody, but disproportionately black and brown people will be advantaged. I will make certain policies. He says, I can't make policies directed toward black and brown people. He said, but I will do them in such a way that other people will be advantaged. Well, that's all y'all saying on the left that hated him for not saying it in his centrist moment. So I think you raised a very powerful point, and this is why I'm skeptical of that kind of politics that tries to decenter the specificity of racial animus. The beautiful thing about Black Lives Matter, they make us aware of two things: that there's a convergence between the politics of respectability and white amnesia. They love to come together, right? All right, white amnesia. Now, black people got it too. Afro-amnesia is a deep thing too. Oh, okay. Not enough amens on that one. Let me go back. Let me go back. Black people got amnesia too. That blamnesia, Afro-amnesia, acting like we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Some of this politics of respectability. How you gonna forget the fact that wearing a good suit don't make you acceptable, right? Obama should know that above anybody. They still call him a lie. 54% of Republicans think he's a Muslim. That's what you're a Muslim. Now, as Jerry Seinfeld say, not that there's anything wrong with that, because given how we put our hand on the Bible to swear an allegiance and an oath to truth, maybe we should try the Holy Quran, because then we would tell the truth better than the Bible. All right, try the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, maybe the Tao Te Ching, maybe the Bhagavad Gita, maybe a goddamn comic book, whatever it is. Let's try something different than what the Bible has given to us. So we don't worship that at that particular level. So what I'm arguing here is that there is a kind of amnesia on the one hand and the politics of respectability on the other, and they converge. And we don't understand the degree to which those things don't ultimately change the substantive condition and the plight and predicament of working people and black people in this case. So I believe in the Black Lives Matter people have helped us understand there's an animus toward blackness that could transcend a particular class. You could be born in a culture that teaches you to disrespect people. I don't care how progressive you are in terms of your leftist politics, you may still be a sexist. So that has to be dealt with on its own terms. So I believe in that. I mean, and poor Hillary. Now, while Bernie is getting all the love, Hillary dropping bombs in Harlem at the what was that? At the Schomburg. She's saying stuff that look. I mean, really? If you weren't disposed against her, the stuff Hillary Clinton is saying in these speeches, people would be going, "Oh my God, she just dropped. She must be Malcolm X must be writing her speech. Malcolm X must be writing her speech."
She's speaking specifically about how to address mass incarceration, how to address racial inequity,
racial animus, the particular anti-blackness. She is going across the board. I mean, but the sexism against Hillary is unbelievable, right? Where we know we can see marked on Obama's body the degree of racism against him. Monkey, simian, you lie, a white female governor pointing her finger in his face. You better be glad there wasn't Snoop Dogg up in there, man. Falling back on that ass with a hellified gangster lady, right? He'd have put it down like that, right? So the reality is Hillary is getting hit from folk in terms of the sexism. John Boehner cries, "Oh my God," with an exemplification of profound progressive masculinity. He's in touch with his feelings. Orange is black, right? Hillary cries, "There's no crying in baseball. Why are women always crying, trying to use their tears as a strategic political maneuver?" I mean, she doesn't get any love. So that's why I wrote an essay saying Hillary could do more for black people than Barack Obama. Not because she knows more or feels more, because she won't be assaulted in the same way. Obama tries to do something, you're trying to hook black people up. You're trying to help them. You gave them something there, right? He ain't gave us nothing, trust me. No, what I mean in terms of explicit, he's done a lot. On the other hand, Hillary can come along because she has white privilege. Bill Clinton could be more black in public than Barack Obama ever could be. Barack Obama can't play no damn saxophone. No, really, Barack Obama cannot play a saxophone. I mean, Bill might be blacker. But what I'm saying, no, if he could, he can't do it. And if he could dance, then he couldn't dance in public because they be dogging him. You see what I'm saying? So the point is that Bill Clinton was able to manipulate the tropes, the metaphors, the simile, the symbolic expressions and articulations, and even some of the stereotypical articulations of blackness in a way that Barack Obama could never do. So Hillary Clinton, by virtue of that white privilege, is able to do something else. But she has a relative lack of black privilege because she can't go up to us and say, "I'm a black like you black." We don't see that. So we ain't gonna let her. She can't give no speeches like Obama. Don't nobody else try that. Don't y'all think y'all gonna get away with you Negro? Nah, stop that right there, right? He was a brother, he got a pass for 8 years, you know how it is, that's what we did. Right now, you gotta come with policy. So Hillary Clinton has to stop, can't engage in kind of condescending moral discourse, she has to bring serious policy. Or Bernie Sanders, should he be president. Or Bernie Sanders, or Hillary Clinton, should they become president, all right?
Okay, I think it's time for us to open it up. I'm sure that we want to try to get as many questions as possible. So if you could really keep it very short
okay,
and actually, answers to and actually ask a question, that would be great. Yes, do we have a microphone
and go
here?
to the microphone because they
and microphone
because
right here.
Apple is recording this for your encryption. Oh, I mean, it ain't like we don't know the stuff already went down. That's all I'm saying. I ain't saying nothing else.
We have a question right
here. A short question, we'll answer.
I just want to touch on your comment about having a female black Supreme Court justice.
Right.
The dynamic of black female will bring to the justice and the policies that the Supreme Court could now initiate to improve our society. I want you to talk a little bit more. I want you to speak upon President Barack Obama appointing a black female to the Supreme Court and how that moment will improve our society in reference to the the justice system.
That's great. That's a great point. Well, look, you know, it kills me that because when we say this, folk go, "Well, why are you playing the politics of identity?" Who have been most of the people on the Supreme Court? White men. Was that the politics of identity? right? When people are in the majority, they never stop to think. When you're suspicious of black people, hey, they're only voting for him because he's black. Let me see, the first 43 presidents were white. Were you doing the same thing? Right? This is what Beverly Tatum means when she says all the black kids are sitting at the table. Now, you done passed 30 tables of white kids sitting together to see the Negroes sitting together, right? So it's a matter of perspective, right? So when I say this, it's not that I'm saying taking away from legal and jurisprudential rationality and skill. They got all kind of skilled people who happen to be women or gay or lesbian or people who are Latino, right? We got a whole range of possibilities and excellencies. So I think that a black woman makes a difference because she appeals to the nature of justice. Let's get everybody's voice amplified on that court. We ain't heard from no black woman up in there. It would make a hell of a difference to see what the rulings might be. Now, I'm not essentializing because it could be a black woman to get it. We got a black man on the court. I'm just saying.
True story.
You want to outlaw sagging pants, but you don't want to outlaw that Negro. So what's interesting in Flint? So what's interesting to me is that it's not just the skin has to be black and therefore that's the litmus test. We're talking about a set of policies, an outlook, a perspective. And those together with the advantages of having implicitly in one's own body lived the experience of différance, whether that's French or Spanish or German or whatever else you got, that makes a difference. And finally, look, it's all about politics at the end of the day as well. So why is it that black women who have been the most consistently supportive constituency, politically speaking, for the president, have not been yet recognized and rewarded within those realms? So I think that and a whole bunch of other stuff is what we could argue.
One very quick follow-up to this. What does it mean, or what will it mean, if President Obama has 3 appointees on this? He's already got 2. Right. If he has a 3rd, what does that mean for the legacy of his presidency?
It could be incredible. First of all, he could, the balance of that court would be dramatically transformed. Because all due respect to the late jurist Antonin Scalia, but he said some horrible things about people of color, about women. I mean, he was, we ain't trying to erase that in death. We show him respect. I ain't down with people trolling him and all that. I think we should respect his family. God bless him. A brilliant jurist, but brilliantly wrong. Brilliantly problematic, brilliantly disturbing. And when he's asking, should black people even go, which by extension is some minorities, women, Latinos, and others, go to their own schools because they ain't smart enough to go here, bruh. Rest in peace, because that ideal has to go. And we got to resurrect a more aggressive conception of the practical advantages and pragmatic consequences of diversity, but not in an abstract sense, in the lived experience of difference that makes that has a tremendous consequence in our own political realm. So absolutely right. He will be one of the most, to answer the question as I did not ask, answer, he's already, look, Obama's going to go down as one of the greatest presidents ever, to me, right? It's just that what he's done on race ain't going to win him those plaudits. But he will be one of the most consequential. In 20 years, he's going to be the Black Reagan. They're going to be seeing his picture and bowing down. Bow down. Look, even David Brooks said, I already miss him. I'm longing for Obama. Hot damn it, you ain't even gone, girl. I know you leaving. You're packing your stuff up right now. The sweet potato pie I'll never have again. The syrup on the pancakes. I miss it up. That's what he's doing. He's missing the guy. He's missing the guy. Miss that intellectual intercourse. Right.
Good afternoon. I'm actually considered a millennial. I'm a part of the hip hop culture. And I guess my question is, how can I convince my peers that reading this piece and pieces that are similar are important for our generation?
Because reading is fundamental. Now, I know you didn't mean it this way. Millennials ain't got no damn exemption on literacy. In fact, you got more outlets. Well, look, back in my generation, we had to face the book and read it. Come on, man, come on. We were all a Twitter about the possibility of reading. We didn't Google, we were ogling people, but we wasn't Googling nobody. And we had to go to the library. Damn it, y'all don't even know what that is, do you? You go over there, you go like 108.7. That wasn't no damn radio dial on the cook, right? That was a book in sociology. And then you go, oh my God, there's something else over there. There's James Peterson's book on the underground, which is brilliant. Go buy that book too. That millennials need to read. So I'm saying to you, millennials are amazing. They've taught me so much. I mean, I got on the internet and I've been doing digital stuff and writing stuff and everything. But God dang it, at the end of the day, I'm tired of people asking me, why you write such a long article? Read your ass longer. I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's too long for you, that you can't read more than 100 words. Forgive me for, God dang it, trying to be smart and making your ass study and dig deeply. That's my job. That's what I do. I am a professor, and I don't apologize to nobody. Now, it's to the advantage. It's to the advantage. However, we learn from millennials styles of learning, engagement, Skyping in.
There is an audiobook.
Oh, there's an audio. I got an audiobook. Listen to it as well.
Audiobook,
I'm
right.
down with you, but I'm saying, and I'm using that. Millennials have been some of the smartest young people I know. But we can't be anti-literate no matter where we are. And we can't be anti-intellectual no matter where we are. And I think millennials need to study even more because you're on the front line. And Robin Kelly has a piece coming out in Boston Review that I responded to where he's making that argument, you know? But not just learning in the traditional sense, but learning for a purpose. Learning for a purpose of resisting forms of oppression. And literacy is a critical tool, whether you're reading Antonio Gramsci or, you know, Michel Foucault or Malcolm X, whether you're reading Maxine Hong King, whoever you're reading, Cesar Chavez, whoever you are reading, make sure that you're engaging in a kind of literacy and a pedagogy of the oppressed, as Freire says, that makes a huge difference in your own life. So there's a, you know, as far as my book, I hope they check it out because I got a lot of stuff about millennials in there too.
Yeah, I know about 40 millennials at Lehigh that'll be reading your book.
Thank
this
you,
semester.
sir. Love you, brah.
I'm sure I'll sound naive, but I've been around politics a long time, and I've just been absolutely astounded and dismayed by the vitriol and personal hatred expressed to Obama, who I think is terrific and would have been more so had it not been for the hatred.
Yes.
But I wonder, now I'm contrasting it a bit with Ben. Why?
Bernie Sanders.
No, the
Ben Carson.
Ben Carson.
Yeah, he looked like a saint, don't he, Obama?
Yeah,
No,
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
it's as if, well, this seems good. I don't agree with him,
Right.
but he's not even treated as if he's black, which should be progress.
Right. Thank God for that one. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not saying we don't want him, but damn. Yeah, no, you've raised a hell of a point. Look, you're right. Here's the thing. The assault on Obama has been simply incredible. It's unbelievable to a degree that we won't even be able to appreciate until he's gone. And when we treat another white president with far more respect and graciousness, hollering at him, you're a liar. And what's amazing, not only the vitriol, how cool the dude is in the face of it. Because I'm telling you, you said, you talking to me? Look, you talking to me? Look, see me outside at 3:30. I'm going to whip your ass and your people, right? So the thing is, Obama has been remarkably cool. Now, that is to his advantage. Clinically dispassionate, seeing it as something else other than who he is, doesn't implicate anything about him. The remarkable strength of self-confidence that takes to operate in the midst of that is astonishing. So in that sense, the man is damn near superhuman, which is why, if you don't mind me saying, and tagging on to your point, which is why it was hurtful to me to hear him at the earlier part of his administration attack black people in public in the way that he did, because he was... Thank you, over there, my man. That's my student. But to hear him attack black people the way he did, because, dude, this is what you should say. If they're doing this to me, and I'm the president, and I done gone to Columbia and Harvard, and everybody know that, what they doing to black people or brown people or red people or yellow people or Muslims or people who are deemed terrorists or whatever, who have no bodyguards, no protection? What about the ordinary person on the street? And what you're doing is heaping coals of fire in the wrong way on their head, and I thought that was problematic. In terms of Ben Carson, bless his heart, when they wake up and see he's there, you know. And when he wakes up, I didn't want to, you know. Look, a genius as a surgeon, right? You know what I'm saying? But since he was famous for separating twins, I think he needs to separate himself from that bull stuff. Like, Obamacare is the worst thing since slavery. You deserve the poor ratings, right? Why don't they treat him like they treat Beyonce? Why don't they treat him like they treat Kendrick Lamar? Because he's saying things that reinforce stereotypical viewpoints about who black people are, and he shows a lack of depth and perception. And it does make Obama look better. So in one sense, Carson is there to highlight the grandness of Obama as well.
Yeah, but Ben Carson's ignorance is appealing to the right.
Oh, it's appealing to the right because they don't want a Negro who really knows the kind of stuff that the man in the office right now actually knows. You want to say something?
Just wanted to make one comment, which is all these
No, just say right quick.
all these people who think he's a Muslim at the same time they were condemning him for the Jeremiah Wright stuff.
Right. That's right. Yeah. It doesn't make no sense. And let me tell you something. Let me tag on that. Check this out. You want to talk about white privilege on the left? So let me get this right. Obama's a Muslim. Obama's a socialist. Dogged him out. We're ready to drive him in the ground. Now white man says I'm a socialist and get millions of supporters. Think about that kind of white privilege too. That ain't on the right. That's on the left as well. Very interesting. Right?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
How you doing?
So I got a question for you, Mike.
Okay.
When I was in Atlanta when Obama won, I was a street reporter.
Oh yes, sir.
And moved me on.
My man.
Yeah, you know me now,
the
right?
hair.
You forget about the little brothers, right?
No, not at all.
So then I moved to Miami, took over the paper there, and now I'm here in D.C. as the editor. So my question is, I have over the last almost 8 years as a newspaper editor for black-owned press, I have found that we moved from this moment of celebration in the street to disillusionment on every front as we've had this brother in the White House. And one point you made was, as we can't even get conversation as black publications with the president, think maybe the brother will talk to the brothers, the brother won't talk to the brothers.
Y'all hear that?
Which
That's what he
confounds
said.
us.
Right.
So that said, I'm wondering, do you think that the president, given where we are now, this almost paradigmatic shift in terms of what a president does, who a president is, as Trump is looking like he could possibly ascend, would Obama or should Obama say anything? Because my readers are saying, damn, I'm afraid, because on the one hand, I got Democrats both are saying they're down for the cause, and I'm not sure. And on the other hand, I got the Republicans who I know are only fighting, but we don't know what the issues are. So do I vote Republican or do I vote Democratic? And as an editor, we all try to help our readers, but I don't know what to say to them.
Yeah, vote Democrat. Vote no damn Republican. Yeah, tell them that. Tell them vote for the Democrat. Yeah. That's all that. It ain't but two people on that ballot, all right? Yeah, except for some errant Negroes. But what I'm saying to you, obviously, look, I ain't going to, look, if your people, let me tell you something. Now, this is probably sacrilegious, right? Donald Trump ain't nearly as bad as the people he attracts. You see what I'm saying? It ain't Trump I'm worried about. It's the folk who like you. Right? It's the Ku Klux Klanners. It's the right-wingers who are viciously racist. It's the Cliven Bundy group. You see what I'm saying? I ain't worried about you yourself, because you and Kanye. I don't know. Y'all, what y'all doing? I mean, I'm just, and I love Kanye. But I'm saying, so to me, it's not a matter of demonizing Donald Trump as if he is some remarkably fascist figure. I've heard that. It is what he attracts and the appeal he makes to the worst elements and the worst angels of our nature. And in contrast, I think Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, no matter what you think about either one of their particular candidacies, they represent something that's powerful, that appeals to the best angels of our nature, not trying to demonize nobody, build no damn fence, keep anybody out. I know the Pope, it was kind of rough that he would weigh in on... And let me tell you what, if it was my guy or my person, I would say that was wrong. So I'm going to try to be fair to Donald Trump, but at the same time, I think the Pope got a point in this sense. If you're going to talk, wear your Christianity out and look at 2 Corinthians. That's where the Pope should have called his ass out. Excuse me, but I am the pontiff. I've never read 2 Corinthians. You, sir, are a heretic, because there's no such a damn thing. Right? So if you read 2 Corinthians, like he does, the point is, when I read my Bible, it talks about loving people. And Donald Trump ain't the only one. I got a problem with that. If you go to a church and you're black and they practice homophobia and you claim to be down with God and you want to make an exception to God's liberating spirit, it was good enough to liberate you, but not gay people, because after all, that's different because the Bible says so. You are participating in the same Donald Trumpiism. Right? You are. if you are another ethnic or racial minority and you're engaging in a form of demonizing somebody else, you are participating in the very thing you want to oppose. So for me, ultimately, what you tell your readers is judge them by the fruit. Right? Like Jesus said, what is you ain't got to be a judgmental person, you can be a fruit inspector. And the fruit, if it doesn't bear anything, if it's bitter, if it's nasty, if you like cruise control, you know what I'm saying? Or you trumping the game, or you know, you Rubio Q's. Okay, I'm just trying to go. And they trying to out Latino each other while they demonizing Latinos and Latinas. Stop it, right? So here's my point. You tell your readers, look at the legacy of the man that they have claimed to love for 7.5 years and see if those people on the other side are continuing it, or Mr. Sanders or Mrs. Clinton have the best possibility of doing so. My money, I would say down with the notorious HRC or Bernie. That's for me, I see. So that's what I would go that route as opposed to anything else, because I think they're much more progressive.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, as of 2016,
I'm sorry, folks, this is our last question.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Hey, can I get 3 in? If I go real, I'll go real quick. If they ask very brief questions, I'll be very, very brief. Like within less than 30 seconds. Y'all got to hurry up, though, because I don't want the owner to put me out, because he's a good guy.
Okay, as of 2016, the history of the United States is African Americans have spent more time in slavery than being free.
Yes, sir.
And there are white people and also some black people who are comfortable that African Americans have come along enough. Mm-hmm. What do you say about that?
That's untrue. It ain't right. I mean, we got a longer way to go. There's a lot more we got to do, and we got to figure out ways to make sure that we jumpstart that conversation constantly. No, we ain't hardly there.
You were talking about Derek Bell, but Derek Bell is one of the founders of critical race theory, which really works against that idea.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Over here.
Looking at the lack of diversity on both sides of the slate, whether it's Democratic or Republican, would you say that the Obama presidency has been a success or a failure?
Well, look, I mean, I don't think that's a great question, by the way, my student. Directly attributable, I think, to the fact that we're trying to undermine the particularity of race and trying to minimize its consequences. So in that sense, what it is a return to business as usual. Obama can't be blamed for that, but we can hold him and us accountable for refusing to address those issues that must be addressed. It ain't just Oscars so white. Grammy's so problematic. You know what I'm saying? The convention so white, and the culture itself. So what we have to figure out a way toward is, how do we ask white brothers and sisters to ask questions that interrogate their own privilege, ask questions about their own subject positions in ways that allow them to maintain their humanity but challenge the inequality that prevails. I think that's what we have to do. Great point.
Yes, ma'am. Last question.
Hi, Professor Dyson. I just want to thank you for all you've done for students. I was your student 23 years ago, with my friend Michelle over here.
Oh, my God, my people. Where at Brown?
Brown University.
Oh, man.
And it makes us go back to those days. But anyway, the question is, I just got back from a week in Iceland, and I'm wondering, what do you think the international impact of Obama has been? I mean, there was posters all over. People are.
That's a great point.
Do they see it as the black presidency, or is it just American progressivism?
Ma'am. Well, I just got back from a week in icy conditions. Your students always do better than you. That's progress, I guess. No. So Iceland, I mean, yeah, that's, you went somewhere there. Here's the point. It's a great question. And I deal with that to a degree in this book, with Obama as the face of the American empire. That's one of the kind of, conundrums you spoke about, one of the contradictions, because now the face of American empire with imperialism is brown, is black. So let me give you an example of how Obama has had an international impact in both an interesting and a deleterious way. The interesting way is when he goes 200,000 people or whatever, when he went to Germany, before he's elected, around the world, people are grateful for the relief of this cowboy presidency. I ain't gonna lie. Let me tell you the truth. I saw George Bush the other day, and I was dadgum nostalgic.
That's the truth. A lot of us are.
I mean, if you'd have told me 7 years ago, I would have been nostalgic for George Bush. Slap me before when I wrote this, I was drunk, so slap me when I talk too fast. So I would have said, you're crazy. But I looked at him, And his brother, I was like, are they moderates compared to what's going on now? Just all they did was invade Iraq and mess up the economy and make America look crazy, but they look good compared to the guys that are trying to be presidents now. It's incredibly dispiriting. So the thing is that, but there was a cowboy presidency. We're going to put our foot on your neck. We're going to make you do it the way America does it. And Obama comes along, smooth and intelligent. Let me speak to you. Hillary Clinton was cracking on him like, you're going to call dictators up and and so on. But he's pretty much done that. Hey there, Mr. Dictator. How are you? We're having some problems over there. Human rights issues are problematic. I understand that. But can we just not drop a bomb tomorrow? Can we do that, right? Because we work out stuff with Iran, do some stuff, right? So the thing is, he did. Actually, his way has prevailed in terms of public policy, despite what the right wing has said. But they've said, what did they say about him? Leading from behind. Well, what that means is he's not going to, George Bush engaged in what I call prevenge. Right? I'm going to beat your ass before you do something to me. Right, I'm gonna get you before you do it, right? That's preemptive. It's preemptive doctrine, which is prevenge to me, right? Obama's like, let me wait till the shit go down first. Then let me see what I'm gonna do with you on that level. So my point is that he did all that stuff, but then he went on a world tour, remember? And I'll end here. He went on a world tour when he first got elected. The Republicans were mad. He's on a apology tour. He went to Turkey. He went to Cairo. He went all over. What was he saying? I'm sorry, America's been crazy. We've done some just out-of-the-box stuff. We apologize, although Europe, you got to step up to the plate too, blah, blah. Right, get to Africa, what'd he say? Don't tell me nothing about no neo-colonialism. Now, see the pattern here I've established between what he does to American-born African-American people and what indigenous black people and what he does to even international African communities? Now, you may think I'm being unfair. Read the book, decide for yourself. There's an issue. Like there is an issue sometimes with people in their own community. There's an issue because he wanted to signify to America. Toni Morrison said the way people become Americans is to demonize the most vulnerable, and in many cases that has been black people. She said, on the backs of black, America has been built. We could add, of course, Latino people. We keep moving the borders and boundaries saying they came over. No, you came over on their crib. That's like somebody come to your crib and then before they took it over, now they saying you got to pay rent. Dude, this is my crib. I'm paying rent in my crib. So Obama goes there and says, I don't want to hear anything about neo-colonialism. I don't want to hear it. He says, I think Africa is responsible for Africa. George Bush's policies on Africa were more progressive. That's just the bottom line. He had more black people in his cabinet. Hard to hear that. But he had 2 secretaries of state, as Mary J. Blige would say, secretary. 2 secretaries of state, right? And your secretary. Y'all remember that? That was the jam. So, come on, y'all. Come on. 90s. Get with it. So, what was that, 2000s? All right. So the point is that Obama has been problematic on the international front because he's demonized to a certain degree early on the African folk until quite recently when he went back to Kenya and danced a little bit. When he finally went back, he said, what? The litmus test was, your government is not fair. Your government does not engage in good practices. Really? So is that how that's been the litmus test when we were dealing with South Africa, when they had millions of people in captivity and subordinated to them? So Obama was quite tricky and I think problematic. He was praised by the right wing when he went to Africa. Finally, somebody has given a speech on Africa that represents the integrity of the American doctrine. No, that's the rearticulation of American empire with a black and brown presence. That's what that is. So on the other hand, I think he's done some incredible stuff in terms of the war on terror, very controversial, and he's done some incredible stuff in terms of the world economy and trying to right that ship. So I think he's going to have a very solid international and global reputation, but what he's done for people of color has been singularly problematic.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for Dr. Michael Eric Dyson.
Thank you.